What up, guys? That time of year is finally here. The Barbell Brigade Black Friday sale, our biggest sale of the year, from 25 all the way up to 75% off. So you don't want to miss this. Mark your calendars. See you guys November 24th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. What up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Barbell Brigade Talk Show. I'm joined with Silent Mike and Nadeem, and this is right hot off the press from 2 months ago.
What's the press?
The newspaper.
You know when they fix all the letters and then they go.
I mean, like, I know what it is,
But then why did you ask?
but ain't nobody using newspapers. And you were going dee-dee-dee-dee. I don't think the press talks to you through the ear.
No, I have a earpiece.
Well, I know what the earpiece is, but I don't think the hot press goes to the earpiece.
It does.
That's some new shit. I got that new shit.
Yeah, I can hear what the newspaper is saying. But yeah, so now we have new rules, right? The IPF, what are they saying? They said that your elbow has to go hit depth, which is below your shoulder joint.
And then your heel has to go behind your head.
Yeah.
No, they said they can't. They don't want you to arch or like.
No,
be too wide.
heel
Your heel?
has to go behind your head.
What?
Yeah. That's the new one that was just updated.
Crazy.
you serious?
They didn't want contortionist shit.
Are you
And then
fucking with
I'm
me?
benching like this.
They don't want your heel behind your head, or they
do.
I can't even get there. What are you talking about?
It sounds like you're not going to the IPF, sucker.
Not powerlifter then.
Are you guys fucking with me?
Why would we fuck with you?
Because that's your guys' style.
Yeah, elbow depth, bench depth, dog.
So
Elbow
what-
depth and.
What is your guys' take on it? What do you guys
there was
think?
one more thing, right? It was elbow depth.
Oh, that's the big one.
Well, elbow, yeah, below the shoulder, because they don't
Bottom
want
of your elbow.
You can't use your feet on the bench to get an arch anymore.
Yeah, there's that too.
That's trash. Because you can still arch.
But I think they just don't want to.
I know, but like if you set up like Spider-Man through the back door, anal, you can fucking shove your feet down there and then do the same thing.
Oh, that's how I'd kind of set up.
That's what I
sometimes.
mean. That one. So the issue, and I don't know if they straight up said it. I think the presidente of IPF basically said we want to stop arch, right? I think he said that like months ago.
We want to what?
Like stop the arch. We want to chill out on the contortionist arch stuff.
Why though?
I
make it, like,
I don't
universal?
think he said.
Like, why did they change the rules?
So that's my point. That's what I made with this whole argument, and we'll dive in there. But to give it for the folks, right? I think it's a social pressure, literally from social media, to say that so their sport looks more legit. At least
So it's a marketing issue.
that's what people's argument was to me too when I talked about this topic. And people said, "Oh, it's to make the sport more legit. Let's not do all this technique, two range of motion stuff, and let's get back to strength, which is powerlifting." And anyone who says that hasn't been in powerlifting very long, because you rewind 12 years ago and we're wearing fucking backwards denim jackets benching 1,000 pounds with one range of motion.
But I agree with that because we're trying to grow the sport past powerlifting. If someone just watches it and someone dunks, we're like, that's impressive. Or there's all these other cues that you can watch and understand. With powerlifting, most everyone that works out at the bench is still gonna leave comments on girls' pages like, why are you arching like that? Or like on a guy's page, like, oh, you shouldn't arch like that, right? But now when you have those extreme arches and the guy's like, I bench 500, even I'm like, powerlifting, you bench 500.
Yeah, but
you're not strong.
But the
like,
real
I wouldn't
argument,
consider that strong, because not anyone can do that, but it doesn't add to a strength of, if we're having to go and you're like, say your back's completely flat, you probably can't even do 300 or like 350 like that.
But my argument is that gym bro who's talking shit on the girl contortionist benching is never going to compete or watch a powerlifting meet either way.
But
if she's flat backed and benched 185, now he's like, oh, that's so dope. I'm going to go throw a singlet on. No.
But they wouldn't get the chance to. They wouldn't get the chance to, because it's not going to be ever popular enough to get televised, or people on TikTok that are watching and they come across it. So they're going to leave comments.
You're to my argument is that powerlifting has more issues in the audience and growth in audience. It's a participation viewer sport. The only people that watch powerlifting participate in the sport.
Now, but I think
no,
that's
always. No. It's always.
I'm saying now and always, right?
It's always going to be that way. And
but
so,
it
like,
should change.
I don't think it ever will.
Probably not.
No, there's so many reasons why. We've been in powerlifting. We like powerlifting.
Yeah.
It's the most boring sport to watch. and it's so long. It's so slow. If you go to a regular meet, there's no pros.
We sound dumb for even liking it then.
No, we are, because we like to do it. No, we are stupid. We're very stupid.
Well, it's anything that's like super specific. Like,
Right.
it'd be like watching chess, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's been around for a very long time.
It's just like geek meatheads.
Yeah, powerlifting's been around for a very long time. It's not brand new. And why is the NBA and powerlifting's powerlifting? It's not brand new and like all of a sudden it's going to get cool, right?
Why do you think the IPF changed it? Like, is it because it's more perception, more marketing?
So I think it's purely optics. They might believe that it's going to grow the sport, and that's literally never going to happen.
Yeah.
My personal opinion is that they're starting to wiggle around the USAPL a little bit because there's some politics there, and so they're trying to differentiate themselves even more, which again, segmenting our sport's never going to help our sport. We're already too segmented. My main argument for the whole piece is that one, the amount of people going to be affected by this is like less than 1% of powerlifting, because we're literally only talking about the IPF, which is like the Olympics of powerlifting. Who even goes there? And then of those folks, how many of them actually have an issue, or I guess I have multiple arguments, that actually won't be affected by this rule, right? Is even less percent.
Yeah, per weight class, there might only be 2 lifters that do that.
Maybe even.
Yeah.
And then even if you do have a crazy arch, you can still hit elbow depth. It doesn't fix the issue.
Which is? Or what is their perceived issue?
I think the arch. I don't even know. I think it's the arch.
It's arching. It just,
So
in terms of when other people come across it.
Depending how big your fucking bicep bone is, you're going to hit depth or not. It's just like squatting, right? If you're all stumpy here, it's real easy to hit depth.
But
If
that's
you're all
why
long here,
the bench depth rule doesn't make sense. It didn't change anything in terms of...
change nothing.
It changed
One,
nothing.
you're hitting 1% of the benchers in powerlifting, right? Because we got the USPA, we got the WRPF, we got the USAPL, we got a bunch of federations
5 other ones we've never even heard of.
that have way more lifters than the IPF.
They all have world champions of their own.
And then of that crew, how many arch like crazy? And then of the archers, how many have stumpy ass arms? And I made a joke, but I said if you're nice and busty or a little bit larger weight class and you got shorter arms, you could be affected by this rule and you could be benching totally flat back.
But I feel like, okay, so if someone comes and they have this extreme legal bench and then when you see them bench and they go, and that's considered legal. And I feel like as powerlifters, we're forced to respect it and back it up because that's what we understand as the rules to be, right?
Sure.
But if that guy comes up to me and
you don't have to respect it, but you got to give it a white light.
in the sense of powerlifting, you have to respect the rules, right? It's a legal lift. But if that guy came up to me and was like, "Oh, I could bench 200 pounds more than you," right? Not like in a cocky way, but just being like, "Oh, my bench is way more than you," right? I'd be like,
See, that kind of stuff I just don't care about.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, you're right. Yeah, 100%. But that's the same as like, I don't know. There's tons of aspects like basketball even. Like then you're starting to cut down like the freaks of the freaks. Like the reason that they're up there is that they can put their back like that. So now we want everyone in the NBA to be under 6'9".
Yeah, but I think
right, like that's the gift they have.
Roles, it's a gift they have, but they can also manipulate their body to be like everyone else.
No, you and I, no matter what, cannot arch like that.
I'm saying they can not have that crazy arch.
Yeah, and we can just true. But so they did that in the NBA. They took away dunking because Will Chamberlain was dunking on every motherfucker.
There's no dunking in the NBA?
There wasn't.
For a while?
Yeah.
Well, oh, shit.
Yeah, there was no dunking.
Like, I'm not gonna say that.
You're about to Brittany Griner them, dude.
I don't even know what you're talking about. But I just feel like
get his ass.
There was so many
other. Reddit.
There was so many other like solutions that people were throwing out that even they were toying with.
No, the best ever is
the stupidest one.
No, the best ever. Shout out our boy Sean and fucking Candido. Make a grip width change per weight class. That fixes fucking everything. The other issue is if you look at who's winning local meets, world records, this arch shit ain't the problem. Not every person who's smashing big. The biggest bench that's ever happened on the planet Earth
doesn't have a crazy arch like that.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So if the arch was the answer, right? That's the same argument with sumo. If every record, or even like 80% and more of the records, and every meet were being won by
all
sumo
the
guys,
600-pound benchers, none of them have a arch like that.
Eric Spoto, the only one that had a mini arch was Kirill. Over the last 3, it was Eric Spoto, then Kirill, and now Maddox. Kirill had a little bit of an arch, but motherfucker's 6'8".
Yeah.
Let him arch. Yeah. And then still he had a big old range of motion. Yeah. And he probably passed this elbow rule. Not that it mattered because it was an IPF. We get it. We're making examples. Eric Spoto had a flat back, and Maddox has a flat back.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily something that they're trying to change to make the sport better. I think it's something for viewership. But kind of like you said, like these people, we go to nationals and people that are winning, even though the benches, if they completed the lift, would have probably had 60 pounds on them. But that's such an extreme way to bench, and most of the time we go and watch them, they don't make the lift.
The people talking shit on that though, like the girl on Instagram or whatever, arching, hypothetical, that dude doesn't even touch his chest when he benches. You know what I mean? Like there's so many other issues of the dude that's talking shit. You're going to go talk shit to a 130-pound woman? You know what I mean? She's whooping ass, she's doing cool. Do they shit? High five her?
I do see those crazy arches more on the female side, right?
For sure, because they're more flexible. Like it just makes more sense.
I just think in lifting, powerlifting is so fucking small, right? But we're having the biggest feats of strength in the sport. And then you look at everyone that's just in training that does understand a bench press, that does understand a deadlift, that does understand a squat. They can see that's a lot of weight. But when they come across a bench press, they make fun of sumo, and sometimes they don't like do it, but it's still a lift that got up, and there's still a lot of range of motion. You've seen that one guy that moves like that much, and he goes outside, and he has to push the plates out so he gets even wider. That's when people could call it out for being stupid,
now we're starting to make the deadlift bar longer.
Yeah. But when you get into the bench press, that's where universally people are being like, what the fuck was that? Because they're seeing like world record, and that's how.
So what do you want? You want the overhead press? You want to go back to the starting strength shit?
Maybe that's boring too. But like overall, like when powerlifting comes out and they're trying to blast it, and imagine ESPN, God forbid, posts it, world record bench just broken by this chick, right, or this guy, and it's like this. I would be embarrassed for that to be going online.
Why you got to be embarrassed about this?
There's no reason to be embarrassed.
I mean, it's not sexy. It's not when you see someone go.
Yeah.
It's like 600-pound bench.
But I feel like
that's not sexy.
I feel like none of powerlifting's sexy, and that's why we are where we are. There's no variables going on.
Russ isn't sexy?
Russ himself is. Russ's lifts are not. Sorry, buddy.
Why isn't his lifts
because like lifting ain't sexy. Like like squat like boom boom.
Yeah. There's not like swag.
There's no
dynamic versus basketball.
There's no variability. There's no creativity. There's no dynamics to the sport, and that's why because there's no variables. Like, what are the two options that are about to happen? You're gonna make it. You're gonna miss it.
Yeah.
I know it's about to happen.
Yeah.
I know the end of the book. I ain't got to read the book, so no one watches it.
You're also talking about like sexiness comes in like say basketball players and all that stuff.
Yeah, it does. We're sexy.
You can
give
not
one of these.
Be athletic at all, not train at all, and understand every other sport, right? But powerlifting, if we're trying to grow in the world of training and people understand it, it's feats of human strength because people understand that that's fucking heavy compared to.
It'll never win because people will never understand the poundages. That's why
that's
strongman.
Also why I like ladders.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Strongman.
Because if you drag it out rather than a 1 or 2 second lift, if you see a progression and then you see the struggle of a person from like 135, 225, 315, all the way up to 675, whatever. There's more of like a sport and more of a game and competition. I think that would help change the sport.
Even that I don't think would help as much. It would help more, but because like simple things like my mom sees me deadlift 3 plates and she's like, "Oh my, you're back!" Yeah. Like they deadlift 700. She's like, "Whoa, heavy, huh? How much was that?" Yeah. But they see Brian Shaw lifting a refrigerator on his shoulder. My mom's like, "Oh, I've moved my refrigerator from house to house. That's very heavy." Yeah. And this gentleman threw it on his shoulder. This guy's pulling a train. That's kind of crazy. I think trains are very heavy. But when you see 500-pound deadlift, Bart Kwan, no one gives a flying fuck unless you lift, because you and I work so hard to get a 600-pound pole. So that sexy deadlift that Russ has, 760 or whatever, we're like, God.
So it is sexy now.
Only when you're trying to make me bash Russ on the YouTube, he's sexy. Powerlifting ain't.
That's sexy. Lift, laugh, love.